Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. Today is our NBA prize picks and player props video for Thursday, February 17th. Last day of NBA before the All-Star break, so let's go ahead and get started. So yesterday ended up being a profitable day, but it was almost a huge day for me. You can see over here on Thrive, they did a promotion to where if you hit 4 out of 4, it paid 12 to 1. And I had 3 different 4 out of 4 cards that were locked up. And unfortunately, all of them had Chris Paul over 26.5 points and assist. And he got ejected. I was going nuts because that would have been a huge payday there. All the other plays smashed. They did well. I did good on Prize Picks and Thrive. But I missed 3 4 of 4 cards for the Chris Paul ejection. And he was on his way to knocking that out. And then over on Prize Picks, I had a similar deal where I had 2 different 5 of 5 cards. I got the first 4 locked down, so I was guaranteed 2x. But then Siakam, I wasn't paying attention, and I had him on both of them, and he missed for me. But this was kind of a fun one because we talked about the props yesterday, and some of the guys that I had in here. I had Seth Curry that we loved over 16. He got 20. Bruce Brown over 8.5 I thought was a no-brainer lock. Apparently, he got over, but he only had 9, so that was kind of tricky. But Lamarcus Aldridge continues to play really well, put up a ton of points. His number was only 10.5, and I thought he would barely get over that, but he ended up getting all the way to 18. So all 3 of those hit, which I was just expecting to get 2 of 3. And then, of course, with Van Vliet ruled out, Gary Trent was a lock for us at 20.5. He put up 30. And then Siakam I threw in there because I knew one of these guys would go off, but I figured both of them would. So either way, it was a profitable night. So let's go ahead and take a look at some plays for today that I've dug up on our cheat sheet. So as always, we pull up the NBA cheat sheet. We kind of dig through some stats, plays. We look at the last 7 tab, and it gives us some plays that we like. And so some of the DVP, just the last 10 games that we want to look at. So Houston has given up the most points at about 125 a game, and they are giving up the most points in the paint. Actually, they're just giving up the most everything. As far as rebounding, Bam Adebayo is in for a good spot for rebounds. And then the same way for anyone on Washington, Houston, and Brooklyn. I love anyone for Brooklyn in the center spot, so we're going to look at Drummond and Aldridge. This is fantasy points, and Washington is giving up. You can see they're pretty decent across the board, surprisingly, but to the center spot, they are getting killed, and that's one of the spots they give up the most fantasy points. So fantasy points also equals player prop stats, so that's one we want to look into. And then some of these other games we can see here, the Pelicans have a tough matchup against Dallas, but we are going to look at some CJ McCollum props. And then when we flipped over here to the last 7, as always, we have the points, rebounds, assist, PRA. We're going to sort this high to low. We're going to go over here and we're going to weed out anyone below 22 minutes. And then these are kind of the guys we're going to dig down and go through. So I've already done that, so I'm going to save the time of going through this since I've done that in the last few videos. So one of the first ones, and this isn't just for tonight. This is something to keep in mind going forward. So for Charlotte, it's basically LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. One of those guys is usually always going to go over their points prop, and a lot of times both of them go over the points prop. Now, they do have a tough matchup tonight against Miami, but you can see that LaMelo's been over this number in 4 straight games. He's had 22, 25, 31, and 33. And then Rozier's been over in 3 straight with 25, 35, and 25, so he's been heftily over. Heftily, is that a word? Fuck, who knows? Anyways, usually what I try to do, and if you'll remember for any members last year, is I had a sheet where you could put players side by side and see all their game logs. And this is kind of an example of why we would look at it, because if you've got a card and you're wanting to know, you need a 5th leg, you got 4 plays you absolutely love. If you know combos like this, you could say, okay, I'm going to do one card with LaMelo, and then I'm going to do the other card with Rozier. One of them I'm going to get 5 out of 5, and I may get both of them locked down. So we like both of their points props to go over. I wouldn't put them on the same card. I would go one or the other. But heck, if you do, and you're doing a flex card, heck, why not? So the first card that I ran looks something like, and I just clicked off of it, like this. This is what I'm going to kind of run through and just give you the quick tidbits. So let me blow this up here. So we're going to look at Aldridge over 5 rebounds. Reggie Jackson, he's become the man for the Clippers at 6 assists. Seth Curry, we're going right back to him. He's been red hot. He's the primary ball handler for Brooklyn. And this is going to be the last game before the All-Star break. After the All-Star break, then they're going to get a whole bunch of people back. So this is probably the last time we'll get to use him. And Rozier, 5 assists. And then my 5th leg, I did one with CJ McCollum over 21.5 points. And then I did the other one with Jalen Brunson. So let's go ahead and dig into these, and I'll kind of show you what was jumping out at me. So let's get this over on the screen, make sure that you can see it okay. All right, so kicking off first out, we looked at Lamarcus Aldridge. Now, Drummond's usually going to get the start. Lamarcus Aldridge is going to come off the bench. So his points prop's pretty good. He's got 18 and 19 the last 2 games. 13.5 I think is definitely viable. But when I was flipping over here and I saw the rebounds, I think Washington was like 21st and giving up the most rebounds to the center position. Drummond's number was 11.5, so it was huge. But when I flipped over to look at Aldridge, it was only 5. Well, he's been over that in 4 of the last 5 games with a push. So really, for us to lose this leg, he would have to have 4 rebounds or less. He's in a good DVP spot. He's consistently been doing it. So we like Lamarcus Aldridge to go over 5 rebounds. I mean, he's got 18 in the last 2 games, so that seems like a no-brainer. There wasn't anything else that really jumped out. You could look at some of the other stats, but rebounds was the one I was going to go over. Now, Reggie Jackson has now become the man in the Clippers offense, so I wanted to flip through and kind of take a look at his stats. So we flip through these, we look at rebounds, PRA, and it's kind of up and down, but the one that really jumped out was his assist. So he's got 8, 9, 8, 8 assists, and I love the 6 because 6 gives us a push, so really he has to have 5 or less. And this is going up against Houston that's given up the most everything, and I think they're 11-point favorites. So I love the over 6 assists. That's a sneaky play. You don't need a lot to happen for him to get over that number. My fear is that he would score a whole lot more and not have as many assists. So if you wanted to look at like his PRA number, that would be fine. But for me, I'm going to go with his 6 assists because for him to only have 5, I think there's a very small chance of that happening. For the 3rd leg, we have Seth Curry. And like I said before, we're going to go right back to him. I mean, he's a pure shooter. In these 2 games with Brooklyn, he's had 20 and 23 points, getting over both times. And Price Pick still has him at 16.5. And like I said, this is going to be the last game that we can really use him and have a lot of faith in him. So go ahead and lock him in tonight. We're going to take another W there and go for 3 in a row. And then Rozier, I was looking at him, and so you can always have some. He's one of the guys that showed up on the last 7 sheet. He was red hot. So points we looked at, 25, 35, 25. He does have a tough matchup against Miami, but over 20.5, I think that's definitely viable. So him or Ball is doable. But what really jumped out at me was his assist. So I like his assist over 5. Reason, like we said every time, 5 is a push. It doesn't hurt us. But 4 and less is what gives us a loss. And it's been a while since he's had only 4 assists, and we'll take a look at that. But he's got 5, 9, 11, 6, and 6 over recent games. So a lot of those games, he's pretty close to that. But in a tough matchup against Miami, I think he could get more in that 7, 8, 9 range. So he's someone that I like to be sneaky tonight. And then looking at the 5th leg, I'm looking at CJ McCollum, his points. He showed up on the hot sheet. And so he's been over it in 3 straight games with 36, 23, and 30. So he has the ability to go well over this and hit this number by mid-3rd quarter. It is a tough DVP matchup against Dallas, but he's the primary ball handler right now, and he's taking a ton of shots, so that's someone that I do like. And the other one is Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson didn't show up anywhere for me, but I just happened to be flipping through the internet, and Beer Maker's fan for Roto Grinders had his DFS 6-pack, and I was like, oh, let me watch this. Well, Jalen Brunson was one of the guys that he had on there talking about how well he's playing, and I believe coming in with the 2nd unit and scoring a lot of points, and they really need him to use the ball or take more shots. So I wanted to pull him up and take a look at it. And of course, his point prop is 17.5. He's been over this in 4 of 5 games. Now, he's not crushing the number, but he's consistently getting over it with 19, 22, 21, and 22 points. So he's someone that I wanted to go ahead and mix in the card. So those are some of my favorite plays. Now, some of the other plays that did pop out was McCollum assist. And so if you look at his assist, he's got a 5-0 overrun. He's consistently about 5.5 assists per game. They got him at 4.5 tonight against Dallas, so I think that could be good. And then Patty Mills is someone that we were on quite a bit, and he popped up for an underplay. So in his last 5 games, he's been under this every time with 8, 8, 9, 7, and 5. So he's just not getting the run. So I like him to go under the 13 points. He's not even getting close to the 13. So we like that one to go over. And then let me see what else we had. Reggie Jackson, we had the 6 assist, Mills, Seth. If you want to do a free throw prop, one that did jump out at me, they don't foul a lot, but Luka over 6 free throws. He's consistently getting to the free throw line, and he's the primary ball handler. He's got 9, 9, 10, and 10 over the last 4 games, so that's one that you could take a look at. So those are the plays that I came up. It's only 5 games on the NBA slate tonight, so good luck, guys, and we'll see you after the All-Star.